I'm just a pilgrim on this road, boys. I'm just a pilgrim on this road, boys. I'm just a pilgrim on this road, boys. This ain't never been my home. Ain't no need to cry for me, boys. Ain't no need to cry for me, boys. Ain't no need to cry for me, boys. Somewhere down the road you'll understand, 'cause I expect to touch his hand, boys. I expect to touch his hand, boys. I expect to touch his hand, boys. I'll put a word in for you if I can. We'll meet again on some bright highway. Songs to sing and tales to tell. But I'm just a pilgrim on this road, boy, till I see you very well. Sometimes the road is rocky along the way, boys. Sometimes the road was rocky along the way, boys. Sometimes the road was rocky along the way, boys. But I was never traveling alone. I'm just a pilgrim on this road, boys. I'm just a pilgrim on this road, boys. I'm just a pilgrim on this road, boys. I'll see you till I see you very well. Till I see you.
So when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain. And after he had sat down, the disciples came to him. And he began to teach them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. And blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. And blessed are the clean of heart, for they will see God. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they are called the children of God. And blessed are they who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And blessed are you when they insult you and persecute you and utter every kind of evil against you falsely because of me. Rejoice, be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven. Thus they persecuted the prophets who were before you. I asked Julie to read a letter we got from Norman's sister-in-law, Susan, an email, and his brother David. Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm reaching out to thank you again, Frank. As David noted, we plan to place the ashes we received in an urn and bury the ashes in the plot where his mother Rose and his father Andrew were buried. Norman, when a child, would come to Concord to visit with his little brother, David. During one of these visits, they were in the yard playing lawn darts. For those of us who remember those, they were the large darts that one would throw and attempt to hit a target on the ground. They have since been banned due to their dangerousness. I'll put a picture of it below. There's a picture. They're pretty big and dangerous looking. Well, at one point, David threw one of these, and it ended up hitting the back of Norman's foot and stuck deeply into his foot, coming out of the other side. I'm not sure if Norman ever played darts with David again. Frank, I know I said this to you over the phone, but I wanted to reiterate our thanks for taking care of Norman for as long as the Catholic workers could, and then for seeing that he got the care he needed prior to his passing. I do not know Norman well, but I do know that he was an independent person who stood up for what he believed to be right. He chose a life that suited him and lived his life to the fullest. He found a home and a family with all of you in Des Moines. For the love and care all of the Catholic workers provided to Norman, we're extremely grateful. Please pass our thanks to everyone who loved and cared for him. Susan and David Sierra.
The longer we sat with Norman's ashes at our house, it's been close to a month now, we were able to, I'm able to recollect that Norman was much bigger than the last months of his life. Much bigger. And he found a home here that allowed him to be the fullest human being he could possibly be. And it all hit the mark of the works of mercy and serving the poor. And he could do it so well because he was one of them. Because he had lived on the streets and he knew rejection and didn't have an easy life. He came here and just blossomed. And he made me look good. So, I'm hoping we can celebrate that life. There's people here who know what I'm talking. The bummer in this story for me and for those of us who've been around Norman the last few months is how he died. It was no fun. It was no fun. And I've been dwelling on that, like how unjust can this be? And the other man who comes to mind is Bishop Morris Dingman, whom this house is named after. And he was a righteous man too, as was Norman, both in their own way. But right now it's time to share stories about Norman, celebrate his good life.
I invited Norman to New York to my apartment because he used to go on buses and he would stay in bus stations. And he would come to New York and stay in the bus station. And I was appalled. Why would he come to New York? And there was the New York Worker he could have stayed at. He could stay at various places. So I insisted that he come and stay in my apartment. And he did. I was really lucky. He stayed for 3 days and I took him everywhere. And at the end he told me he wanted to go back to the bus station. Because he preferred it. Not to insult me, but he actually preferred the bus station because there was more action there. He preferred the food there and all the interaction.
That Norman was just one of the gentlest and kindest and most humble people I've ever met. And that doesn't mean he was a saint, but he saw the best in people. And it reminded me of this Thomas Merton quote, and you know how eloquent Thomas Merton is. This wouldn't have been Norman's words. Then he may not have even owned up to this view of life, but this was how he saw people. It says, "Then it was if I suddenly saw the secret beauty of their hearts, the depths of their hearts where neither sin nor desire nor self-knowledge can reach, the core of their reality, the person that each one of them is in the eyes of God. If only they could all see themselves as they really are. If only we could see each other that way all the time, there would be no more war, no more hatred, no more cruelty, no more greed. This cannot be seen, but only believed and understood by those with a peculiar gift." And I just feel like Norman just had that gift. He's an amazing person.
I went over there one day and he was kind of looking at this calendar and it had a bunch of pictures of cathedrals on it. And so I sat next to Norman and I thought, well, this is something we can do together. And he was getting a little forgetful and he'd look at one, oh yeah, that one's down the street, he'd say, and talk some story about a cathedral or a church he'd been to at one point in time. And I was kind of sitting next to him and getting a little bit bored, but I thought like, no, I'm going to spend time with Norman. We're gonna do this. And so just really tried to refocus, and he did a few more pages, and then finally he looks over at me and just gets up and says, I'm sorry, but I'm getting tired of keeping you company.
There were certain topics for him that were just so sacred. Like he just is very passionate about, you know, the environment and, you know, certain people groups and his mother and father in England and World War II. I mean, he just like could just go on and on about those things.
Indigenous rights.
Yeah, he was just really, I mean, very passionate about those things. Memory I have of him was just living with him for a couple of years, and I remember him, he would always say, this was after he'd kind of retired from the community, or from the work here, the shifts, and just living at Manning House, and he would just take these day trips. He might go to Jordan Creek Mall, he might go to New York City, we never really knew. He would just, but he always said that like, outside of the home, it was like an obstacle course. He always treated it like an obstacle course or like a game. It was a fun way to kind of approach just going outside. It was just because he did have a lot of, you know, physical limitations and, you know, mental limitations and things like that. But he always found a way. I mean, you'd see him in the morning, he had his walking stick, his hat, and all right, see ya. Well, I don't know if we're gonna see ya tonight or in 2 weeks. He never would tell us. He just go. He's very independent, self-sufficient. And yeah, has a lot of stories.
He will be remembered for his distinct literary style.
His articles always, I really like, they always started with an observation that would put you in the place and time that he was in. Like it would say something like, so I'm sitting here looking out the window and what I'm seeing is, and then whatever that transition that it just loosely reminded him of, and you were just like on some journey that was the same journey that was coming in his mind, and I thought that was really beautiful, which is I'm sure why it was always so difficult to edit these articles, right? Because they're just very,
stream consciousness.
And he would say the dictionary.
We give them back to you, dear Lord. We gave them who gave them to us. Yet as you did not lose them in the giving, so we have not lost them by their return. For what is yours is ours always, if we are yours. And life is eternal, and love is immortal, and death is only a horizon. And a horizon is nothing more than a limit to our sight.
Every time we would be anywhere with Catholic workers and the resistance community, you know, at either a plowshares trial or an action somewhere, no matter where it was, Norman would be there, and everybody's getting together and they're talking deep thoughts way into the night, and he'd be one of the last people I might like. It's like, oh, there's Norman. I go over and see Norman, and we would yak about this and that, and he was just about getting ready to either go sleep at the bus station or see what the scene was on the streets with everybody. And that's what he always went there. No matter how much room there was in the church or wherever we were, he would always go out and see what life was like on the streets of wherever we were. Everybody is a-wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. And no one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say once you're gone forever. Some say you're gonna come back. Some say you rest in the arms of the Savior if simple ways you lack. Some say they're coming back in a garden, bunch of carrots and little sweet peas. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody's wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody's worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing is done. But
No one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say they're going to a place called Glory, and I ain't saying it ain't a fact. But I heard I'm on the road to purgatory, and I don't like the sound of that. Well, I believe in love, and I live my life accordingly. But I choose to let the mystery be. But I choose to let the mystery be.
Yeah. Stick around, socialize. Austin's gonna go get his guitar, Steve's got his, we're gonna have a hoot out later on. Thank you all. Our folks from Honduras came and, I want to thank everyone who came because this is really a remarkable testimony to no lie, Norman Sierra was the real thing.